Hello and welcome to round 3 coverage of Grand Prix Sacramento. I'm Brian David Marshall. I am joined in the booth by Jacob Van Lunen, Grand Prix San Diego champion. And we're watching Matt Frank there on your left play against Michael Burnett. And Michael Burnett, of course, recently winning Grand Prix Las Vegas. And we see both players again, not something you see in sealed deck very often, people putting anything on the board before turn 3.
Yeah, if somebody's playing a 2-drop, it's usually because it does something. So Doom to center here?
Yeah, getting right on the board. There's Matt Frank playing with a card some people have called the best common in M19 Limited, Manolith. It lets you play all your good uncommons and rares in whatever colors they might come in.
It's true. When you open cards like Chromium or Vivictus Asmati, Manolith suddenly shoots right up in terms of how good it is in your deck.
So double Doom to center now here for Michael Burnett. Picks away, and there's a Gear Per guide for Matt Frank. 3-2 for 3. Able to restrict the classes of creatures that can block a target creature with, if you want to sink some mana into it. Can't be like 2 power or less, can't block.
That could be very good against this board of Doom Dissenters here that Michael Burnett has established, because Doom Dissenter, it's a card that matches up fairly well in the mid to late stages of the game against these green decks, because for a small amount of mana you can really kind of win a race by chump blocking indefinitely after getting in for some points. It also combos really nicely with things like Blood Divination.
Yeah, there you get a look at Matt Frank. Matt Frank has some top 8 experience at the GP level. Atlanta 2016. He's been playing Magic since Ice Age. So that's, more than 20 of the 25 years Magic has been in existence. There you get a look at Michael Burnett. Also someone who's been playing for a very long time. 3 Grand Prix top 8s, but most recently was the limited winner at Grand Prix Las Vegas. So there's a bristling boar for Matt Frank. How do you like that card? I've been very pleased with that card.
It's fine. I think the 4 3s for 4 mana or 4 2s for 4 mana have overperformed for me generally. Two-Headed Zombie is a card I was not thinking I'd be playing very much that makes my deck a surprising amount of the time, and I'm pretty happy with.
So here's the board. Now it gets to actually attack, and something gets to block for Michael Burnett. We get to put a Doom Dissenter in the way. Can't block with more than 1 there, because that's the clause on Bristling Boar. Can only be blocked by 1 creature. Volcanic Dragon, of course, a card we saw in our first round, making an appearance again and just getting in there for 4 in the air. And Michael's going to need to find something here. You think something like a Psychic Symbiont is a card that's going to be in his deck?
Oh, it's a card he would absolutely love. That card is in sealed deck just incredible tool. It draws you a card, it makes your opponent discard a card, and gives you a relevant flying body. It's just a 3 for 1.
Here's 6 mana, and that is a Psychic Symbiont. So it's kind of what I was expecting there. He's like, please discard something. I'll draw something. Ooh, what is that, a Fiery Finish?
It is a Fiery Finish, and that's got to be scary for Michael, because Matt can cast that Fiery Finish. It's a pretty versatile removal spell, so what is he holding on to?
Oh no, Banefire, right?
Yeah.
Fiery Finish, 6 mana sorcery. Little difficult to commit to keeping up. And instead, it looks like he may have kept an Electrify. Gets to use his mana more efficiently here. You see he's activating the Gear Per guide. Says, okay, you can put one of your creatures in the way of my Bristling Boar. Guide can't be blocked by any of your creatures. And I'm going to get in for 7 here. And you can chump and you get a second zombie, but you still can't deal with my Bristling Boar with anything that's on the table.
Yeah, and there the Boar's ability coming into play, because had it been able to be blocked by more than 1 creature, Michael could have just tossed that token and the Dissenter in front to get a trade.
Michael Frank down to 1 card in hand. A little help from the Symbiont in that regard. Michael's has a ton of cards here. Looks like he has 4 or 5. And just played his 7th land, so.
And even with these blockers on the table, because of that guide on the table, Michael not really able to put himself in a position to have very good blocks anytime
Gets to
in the near
attack
future.
with a zombie there, though. And are we going to see? Okay, there's a Gear Hulk.
And it's just a 3-5. I mean, the nice thing about the 3-5 body there is it matches up well against this 4-3, and the guide can't get past it.
Yeah, the Gearsmith Guardian. 3-5, and gets +2/+0 as long as you control a blue creature. There you see it.
Meteor Golem. A card we've been very excited by this weekend.
So Meteor Golem is wins the real steel battle here. And Gearsmith Guardian looked so good during early pre-fight warm-ups. Look at him. But Michael is under the gun here, and Matt Frank's like, I don't care how many cards you have in your hand. I'm just gonna sort of continue to dominate this board here, and you're gonna need to find something that does not really exist in blue-black, which is some kind of sweeper.
And no damnation style card in this set.
You need to deal with my cards, one at a time, really. You have some removal spells, you have some disperses or totally lost or things like that, but
and Michael really needs some beefy large flyer that's undercosted and some really inexpensive interactive spell like a disperse in conjunction with each other to survive even this next turn here.
So land, Horizon Scholar. Okay, so there's a skeleton. Oh, well, here we go. He's going to spend 8 mana to take down that flyer. Skeleton Archer and Strangling Spores get the job done. But Michael's at 5.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do to survive another turn, though, based on what's on the board.
Oh, well, Strangling Spores of his own for Matt Frank. And he can just attack with everybody, and that will be the game. Michael Burnett scoops him up. Wow. Matt Frank playing some Jund colors there. And you see, Manolith, very valuable for him in terms of making sure he could do everything he wanted. Michael Burnett, blue-black. We still don't have our deck list yet for this round, so not sure if there may be another color in there. But Matt Frank's like, all right, this guy won a Grand Prix. I got to calm down, not get too excited here. But of course, Matt has some experience, as we said, Grand Prix Atlanta 2016. He was in the top 8 there.
I was looking at some spreadsheets of people who've played a lot of the sealed format. People like Michael Jacob and other people who have streamed a good amount of the sealed format, and I was trying to figure out which color combinations tended to be the most successful. And interestingly enough, blue-black was actually the second highest win percentage of sealed deck archetypes, and I had a little over 100 in my sample size. So
when you say these spreadsheets, is that something that people are sharing? Is that something you're creating?
I'll have my own spreadsheets, but a lot of the time you can just get a look at somebody else's, so they start to fill out and add all of their data to it. Yeah. I'll turn on Michael Jacob's stream and see all of the data that he already has, and just plug that in on top of my own data to create a bigger sample size. And doing that when you're testing, by the way, is very important, because a lot of the time your memory can mislead you, and it can lead you to believe that certain things are better than they actually are.
Now, you say the blue-black's been very successful. It looked like Michael was on his back heels that whole game. What are the things that are indicative of a really good blue-black deck? What might we look for from Michael Burnett in the subsequent games here if he's going to find his way back into this match?
So the reason that I think blue-black is, the second most successful color combination is because you get cards like Divination, cards like Gravedigger, these cards that tend to overperform when you're playing sealed deck. And over the course of a longer game, the fact that you have those grindier card advantage cards and that you have more leeway with the way you can sideboard against different opponents, it makes a deck like that powerful in a slower limited format.
Now, what was the most winning color combination? Was it green
blue-white?
Blue-white. Oh,
followed by followed by blue-black, followed by green-white.
Okay, because green-white is where my memory would have put me down the road of. So here we get a look at Matt Frank's deck list. Yeah, he's got a couple of... we see one of the big reasons that he wants that Manolith there. He is, for the most part, green-red. but he is splashing Vesvictus Asmati, the Dire. He's also splashing, of course, we saw a Strangling Spores. So a little black splash there for him. He's also got a Draconic Disciple as far as multicolored cards. But as mana, oh, look at this mana. He's got 2 non-basics that he's able to use for his splash. So that's really nice. And the Manalith, of course, only needs 1 run swamp in his deck. He's got 4 black sources for, 2 black cards. So pretty nice. Double Spark Tongue Dragon. His deck looks really nice. I'm looking to see if he had... he doesn't have Spitfire, though, unfortunately. Really nice with those 2 Spark Tongue Dragons. But just a really solid deck. Also has Dryad Greenseeker card that we've talked a little bit about.
Greenwood Sentinel.
Interestingly, not playing Colossal Majesty, in his green-red deck.
Sometimes you just don't have the necessary number of 4-power creatures, and it's really hard to justify a card that could, some percentage of the time, just be a do-nothing.
Right, sometimes is a very slow divination.
Mm-hmm. I think that given the pool of cards he has here, and seeing the number of 4 drops he has, if he plays against an opponent who he perceives to have very little removal that actually gets things off the board, like let's say their removal spells tend to be things like Luminous Bonds or Dwindle.
Like a white-green deck, yeah.
Yeah, then... I imagine in that case he would likely want to sideboard in a card like Colossal Majesty.
Yeah, did we get Michael Burnett's deck list in with this?
We did not.
Not yet, okay. So how it happens is early in the tournament, the judges have some 1,400 deck lists, and they need to alphabetize those.
Yeah.
So it takes us a little while sometimes to get all that sorted. That process improves as the day proceeds. And also for the first several rounds of the tournament, there's new deck lists getting added as players show up off their buys to build decks.
Michael chose to draw here.
Yeah.
Departed Deckhand.
Yeah,
now?
that card, I really like this card quite a bit. Feels like it should be much easier to kill than it is. It becomes the target of a spell. You sacrifice it. Sometimes your opponent has to use one of their creature enchantments to kill it. I've had people put their Oaken Form on my Departed Deckhand. There's a Plague Mare. Doesn't really get anything here, but...
Yeah, Plague Mare can be absurd. Not quite here, though.
Yeah. A Nightmare Horse. And look, it's got the Vine Mare opposite it.
Yeah, Vine Mare looking a little bit better on this board.
Yeah, the Elemental Horse. Well, that card is... I've just lost so many. I feel like I've lost so many games to Vine Mare over the last week.
Same.
Both playing in Sealed and playing in Draft. Just an absolutely punishing card. It really, Hexproof, we know is so hard to deal with. And, the color ability is not trivial, right? I mean, here, Michael can't even interact with it. He can't block it with his black creature. But also, if you have any kind of pump, any kind of enchantment that you can put on that, it just becomes such a nightmare.
And the thing I really like about Vine Mare also is that the fact that it's black creatures that aren't able to block it. Black creatures tend to be the creatures on the ground that want to be blocking in this format. Cards like Doom Dissenter and Reassembling Skeleton are things that
absolutely.
Match up really nice against green decks because they can kind of block forever on the ground while they attack you in the air. And Vine Mare does a really good job of just charging in horsey style right past all that.
Yeah, Michael Burnett's just under the gun here again. Gira Guide comes down, joins the Vine Mare, then a Centaur Courser.
And Matt's creature is just bigger. He has these 2/3 toughness creatures, and he's facing off against these 2/2s, putting Michael in a situation where it's really dangerous to block if his mana's tapped.
Centaur Courser, one of the great vanilla creatures of all time.
There was a day and age where 3/3 for 3 mana was like a first-second pick in Limited.
Okay, here's the Gearsmith again. Now it's a 5/5. So Michael's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to get bigger than you here. Oh, but Rabid Bite. Vinemare takes down the Gearsmith, and in comes Centaur Courser and Vinemare. Gearpur Guide sitting back, not interested in the trade. There's a Sentinel. Greenwood Sentinel, just 2/2 Vigilance. And Michael is at 7, and really, you need to find something here. It looks like this is going to be a Symbiont. Okay. He's going to draw.
And this is one of the better uncommons in the set.
Yeah, knocks a card out of Matt's hands. He gets a Basilisk. 2 cards left for Matt. He draws a 3rd for this turn. Still, remember, I mean, Matt's this far ahead, and he's only got 4 mana to work with. Really impressive here. There you see the Daggerback Basilisk. Have you lived the dream of Daggerback Basilisk and Declare Dominance?
I have.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, actually, the first time I declared dominance to Death Touch creature was Issereth.
Oh, so. Okay. That's fine, too. There you get a look at the newest iteration of, Lure Thicket Basilisk. Tricks people have been playing with since for as long as Magic has been around.
And what that does is, let's say you have that Daggerback Basilisk, and then you attack with your declared dominanced Lizard. Suddenly your opponent has to block with all of their creatures, and you split up that Death Touch damage. Their whole board dies.
All right, there's Dryad Greenseeker for Matt now. Michael Burnett's down to 2. He traded the Symbiont for the Courser here. Not trading for the Vinemare.
Well, the Symbiote's black. The Vinemare.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That second ability is just so strong.
Yeah.
Really mattering a lot here.
All about that there. There you get a look at Dryad Greenseeker. Just one of the really strong card advantage engines in this sealed format. Definitely a card I would be looking for as I sifted through my pool. All right, so Michael Burnett taps 5 mana. He's got a Gin of Wishes.
It's a nice one.
Yeah. He passes the turn, but Michael is at 2. And this looks like a plummet for the Gin of Wishes. A little sideboard action for Matt Frank. And now he just has to... Oh. He's going to activate his Dryad Greenseeker, but he's got lethal on the board. He has to worry about something like a Disperse. Wow.
All right, he didn't go for it.
He's not going to risk his Gearpur Guide here. And, wipes out Michael's board. And you know what? That cautious play seems like it'll be fine for him. He's just in great shape moving forward. Is there anything, Mike? No! Michael Burnett falls 2-0. Matt Frank, the Grand Prix Atlanta top 8 competitor, he pulls this out, and just, green is a color that people are very excited about in M19 Limited, and you get to see why. And Vinemare is just a house in that game.
Vinemare was just incredible to behold.
You don't even know what, didn't matter if there was any removal for it in Michael Burnett's hand. Like you're really just looking for a card like, I don't even know. Like, what are you looking for to interact with that?
You're looking for, like, bigger blue creatures. Like, out of a deck like his, he wants to be, trading a card like Gin of Wishes. I'm going to have to say the card of that match is Vinemare.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw every single part of the text on that card be super relevant.
Do you think we can complete the Horsefecta and get, like, all 5 horses into the card of the day? But, yeah, no, Vinemare, that card was tremendous. 5/3 hexproof for 4 mana. Can't be blocked by black creatures. We saw that just actually give Michael Burnett fits there. It was like a Symbiont that would have been a perfect trade for a 5/3 hexproof creature. But, of course, it's black. Couldn't block it. So, yeah, Vinemare, our card of the match.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because Vinemare, it's usually a very, very good card. And I'd say in a vacuum, it's just a great card. But sometimes it's a card that you're pretty disappointed in. I've faced off against enough Oresco Swiftclaws in my day when I have a Vinemare to know that it's not always as good as it was there.
You're not obligated to attack into that Oresco Swiftclaw.
I'm just sitting there.
You could just sit there. All right, we got more Magic coming up for you after this as we continue through our Grand Prix, our Vegas-themed feature match area. Don't go anywhere. We got a couple brief messages, and then we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the feature match area. Brandon Marshall here with Jake Van Lunen. We just watched Michael Burnett versus Matt Frank, but now we are going to go back to the feature match area. We got some more Magic to show you, and we're going to pick it up with Grand Prix Vegas champion, different than the Grand Prix Vegas champion we showed you earlier in the round, Neil Oliver, who is up against John Stocks. And John Stocks, by the way, he has been playing this game in his own words, forever. So, he said, I've been playing it since the game came out, so that's however many years that is. That's 25 years, John.
Notice those 25s in the backs of your opponent's sleeves.
All right, we've got another horse on the battlefield here from Neil Oliver. We've got more horses. We're just
It's an equestrian
We've been
convention?
keeping
What's going
track
on out
of these. It's the Diamond Mare from Neil Oliver. There's a Marauder's Axe for John Stocks. John does have a Grand Prix top 8. He got second at Grand Prix San Francisco back in 2007, so more than a decade ago. Neil Oliver, of course, 4 Grand Prix top 8s, including that win at Grand Prix Las Vegas, which really sort of launched his pro career.
Neil was not gifted with the most impressive sealed deck. As a result, you'll see he's playing 2 main deck copies of Plummet.
Oh, wow.
Along with a...
which seems like they will be dead in this game 1 playing against a green-white deck. Oh, there's still some targets, but, you don't really think of the green-white deck as having a lot of flyers. Here you see another Star Crown Stag hitting the battlefield in this day 1 here at Grand Prix Sacramento. And that's going to pick up Marauder's Axe pretty soon. Yeah, you see a Plummet in hand for Neil Oliver, and he's like, please make one of your creatures fly.
I think it's Plummet and Rise from the Grave, so he really wants to construct that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, here comes the Star Crown Stag, and he doesn't equip it because he's going to sink his mana in, okay, to make a Rocks Oracle.
Yeah. It's a card I've been pretty happy
draw
with.
Draw a card. It's like, I say it with a question mark because that's how I always feel about the card. It's like, Rocks Oracle?
Well,
am I going to play it?
There's so many good uncommon 5-drops that you'd rather have. You'd much rather have like a Vigilant Baloth or, a Vampire Sovereign or
Thornhide
Herald
Wolves.
of Faith. You think so? You'd rather have
Thornhide Wolves interact. I love drawing a card. I love drawing a card. But I also just like having something you can't kill that easily and just doesn't die in combat with every random Swift Claw in the room.
That's fair. The 4 Power Matters cards do work pretty well with the Oracle for what it's worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
I like it a lot with Sarkhan's Unsealing, for example.
Colossal Majesty.
Yeah.
All right, so Neil continues to peck away with his Diamond Mare, but John's now cracking for 7 a turn. He also has Thornhide Wolves, so that goes up to 11 a turn. Plus, he still has the Marauder's Axe laying around, just waiting for someone to brandish it.
Interesting to note also, Thornhide Wolves is a reasonable 5 when you don't have those good uncommon 5s to play in your deck. Whereas a card like Fire Elemental, which you would think would be of almost the exact same power level, is so much weaker simply because 5 toughness is so good in this format where there are so many good 4-mana cards that have 4 power. Things like Havoc Devils, things like the Boar. I think that having a 4/5 is pretty relevant, as opposed to a 5/4 which simply trades with those.
All right, so let's see what Neil can do. What is he going to be able to... So there's a Strangling Sport. Takes out the Star Crown Stag. Gains a little life, clearly named Black with the Diamond Mare. Well, he's a turn away from being able to use his Rise from the Grave now.
His Stag's not the worst target for that either.
Neil's can I convince you to play a flyer?
Yes, please play a very large and very impressive flyer.
Wouldn't mind seeing a Herald of Faith.
I don't think he would.
Oh, here's Rabid Bite to take down the Diamond Mare. So that's a 7-power Rocks Oracle. So this is more than enough damage here.
So abnormal endurance.
Yeah, we've seen this card a lot already in the first couple rounds of the tournament.
And,
he gains a little life when he plays a black spell.
The mare does come into play tap, though, so John's still getting in for a massive crack here.
Yeah, this is 11. It's going to drop Neil to 1. And John Stocks is not done. He's got a Pegasus Courser. He's going to be able to fly over with that 7-power creature next turn. Yeah. But you know what? Plummet's now live.
Yeah, now something Neil can do, which is pretty interesting, is Neil can wait until John jumps something with that Pegasus Courser and use both of his plummets.
Yeah, wow.
So, yeah.
It's a pretty rough-looking deck here from Neil. I see he's got like Oakenform in his hand now.
Yeah, and I think this may be a defensive Oakenform. But he doesn't have a third forest, so if I'm Neil, I think I just pass with the double plummet play.
Oh, he's got 2 plummets in hand, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, looks like he is going to actually go with... No, I think he has decided that double plummet is the plan here.
It's kind of rough, though, right? Because if he Oakenforms this mare, then he has a blocker for whichever creature stays on the ground, and he can use the plummet on whatever the Courser ends up jumping.
Right. Oakenform, of course, +3/+3.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And then he can, have the second plummet at the ready for the Courser itself, and he'll fall to 1 with a play like that.
All right, so let's see how this plays out. Neil is at 2. He's going to move the Marauder's Axe over to the Pegasus Courser. So, all right. First things first, Mare gets in front of Wolves. Plummet your flyer. Plummet your conveniently other flyer now. So both plummets get used. Here comes another Thornhide Wolves. And can Neil Oliver rise from the grave and live through this turn?
It's going to be very hard to do.
Is it going to involve a Rock's Oracle? Yes, it is. He's like, let me draw another card. So that's another land. It's going to pass the turn. He's at 2. Attack with both. And yeah, Neil says, okay, you got me. All right, so this is Time Walk, so we get to jump past all the shuffling, pick things up right away. A little bit better of a sealed hand here for Oliver. You see he's going to have a turn 2 Dryad Greenseeker. It's going to give him some card advantage. You see a Colossal Dreadmaw, which gives him an end game.
Yeah, Neil, not many options in his sideboard either, so you see those plummets still in his deck.
They looked great at the end of that game for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, a nice part about a card like Pegasus Courser is that it can turn on multiple plummets by itself. A little bit of an issue there is that by the time they became castable, he had passed so many turns with open mana without using it, and then the plummet's casting cost competing with other cards in his hands.
Yeah, Marauder's Axe was the play for John Stocks. And Centaur Courser is the card that'll have the first opportunity to pick up the axe. Here we see Neil drawing a card. So +1 on the Dryad Greenseeker here. I'm telling you, you always draw another land after you draw a land with Dryad Greenseeker. Always.
I can confirm that that's true in my experience.
Also, when you don't draw a land, when you don't hit a land with it, you also don't draw a land for that turn. That is 100%.
Yeah. It's the guarantee.
Yeah, Vigilant Baloth waiting in hand for Neil Oliver. So he's got 4s and 5s and 6s coming up here. And not a lot of pressure from John early on, just this Centaur Courser. And he's going to take it. Goes to 17. See Rabid Bite in hand for stocks there. Just a sucker punch. It's not a fight.
Yeah. It combos very nicely with death touch creatures, even small death touch creatures.
Yeah.
Whereas, fight cards, you often get 2 for 1 when you're using a smaller death touch creature in conjunction. Rabid Bite. Nobody wants to get bit by a basilisk.
So here's the Gallant Cavalry. And you see while the players wait for a Knight token to show up from the judges. No land there for Neil Oliver. But he does have a Mind Rot, a card we've talked about a little bit already here. He has a 5th land to play the Vigilant Baloth. So there comes the 5/5 Vigilance. That card's just, announces its presence with authority.
Yeah, and especially on a board like this where everything is on the ground, this is a creature that can reliably attack and block and not have to be too worried about getting trumped in basically any way.
Except that I think we're going to see Marauder's Axe on a Centaur Courser, Rabid Bite to take out the Vigilant Baloth, and then a big attack here from John Stocks.
Yeah, the Axe and the Bite are a really nice answer here.
Yeah, here it comes. Humph. Takes down the fatty. Now gets to attack with everything. And Neil can sort of soak up one of those knights, but takes a big hit from the Courser here. And he's going to have to hope he can stabilize behind a Colossal Dreadmaw next turn. Gets a land. Is that an Epicure of Blood he just drew?
I believe it is, yeah. And that's a 5-drop that I've actually been a little bit impressed with. I've had a lot of decks where I've gotten 4 or 5 triggers out of that card for the course of a game.
There's Colossal Dreadmaw. Looks like Rise from the Grave's also in his hand, so can possibly get that Baloth back if he wants it. Yeah, and this Loxodon Linebreaker is going to be the play here for John Stock, so not a super exciting position. And, Neil could just pull away this game, just like really starting to thin the lands out of his deck and get some. He's up like 2 cards on it right now. So it's just something to keep an eye on as we keep going.
This Stride Greenseeker, though, kind of a Courser of Crufix card advantage style of card.
All right, now we're going to see a Mind Rot. He's going to get the last 2 cards. Wow. Oh, wow. Vivian's Invocation and a Vigilant Baloth. And you see that John Stock's scuffling for a 2nd green. All right, well, Neil Oliver just may have turned a corner here.
It looked like he was getting run over here, but...
Ravenous Harpy is the play this turn.
And Mind Rot here, super powerful. As
and there's that 2nd green for John, a turn too late. Now we see Oaken Form off the top again for Neil.
And Neil has a Flyer and a Trampler in play, so Oaken Form, looking better than it often does. Rise from the Grave also, can make Baloth right now.
That Mind Rot could not have come at a more perfect moment for Neil.
I think he had it in his hand for the majority of the game.
Yeah, well, he waited until... You talked about this. You just want this to be get the last 2 cards out of someone's hand.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. And it was, that perfect situation where it's like 2 double green cards that John was just waiting to find that 2nd forest for.
And so often in this sealed format, when you wait for the last 2 cards in your opponent's hand, you can make Mind Rot very, very good. So. Yeah,
and there's so many cards, like, a Banefire. If your opponent has something like a Banefire or has something, like a Wrath Effect, those are the kind of cards. An Essence Scatter sometimes is a card you can clear with a Mind Rot that that they have in hand. All right, so Knight's going to pick up the Marauder's Axe and just kind of rumble into the red zone here. Curious to see what Neil does. Obviously, John is inviting him to put his Colossal Dreadmaw in the way. And that's what he does. And then follows up with a Johnny's Last Stand. So,
yeah, I think John was thinking that he might be able to bluff through some amount of damage and then put Neil in a position where Neil is incentivized to play around a trick for the remainder of the game. And Neil was just like, I'll call. No.
Yeah. And then, so what would have happened? What do you think would have happened if John had played the Johnny's Last Stand before combat and then he attacked?
Oh, well, in that case, I think that Neil probably would have taken the damage.
Yeah. So.
Although, actually, no, I see a plummet in Neil's hands, so Neil would not have taken the damage.
Right.
But
oh, yeah, that's true. There's that plummet.
Yeah, John probably a little bit frustrated that he drew the Last Stand after he got mind rotted.
Oh, yeah.
And
that could have been a blowout.
Yeah, I can assure you that Neil will not have Mind Rot in his deck for a game 3 here if they do play one, because the risk of running that into a free 4/4 flyer is just too great.
So it looks like Vampire Sovereign is waiting in the wings here for Neil. It's going to get him back some valuable life points. It's going to drain for 3. He's also going to have a little action off Epicure of Blood here. So a really nice sequence there for Neil. And he's still sitting there on that plummet if he wants to let John crack the Johnny's Last Stand. Johnny's Last Stand, whenever a creature dies, you can sacrifice it. One of your creatures dies, you can sacrifice it and get a 4/4 flyer. Mm-hmm. Also, as you mentioned with the Mind Rat, if it's in your hand and your opponent forces you to discard it, you could also get a 4/4 flyer. So the card's kind of sweet.
And it's pretty easy to make the 4/4. It's not a card that really punishes you in any way. You can just block, especially as a white deck. You usually have things that you can even block with in the air.
So here we see Neil using Green Seeker at the end of turn and then using it again on his turn before he draws. And then you see a Vampire Neonate in hand. Looks like he is going to put Oakenform on. He's like, you know what, I want a 9/9.
Seems reasonable. There's only 8 points of power looking at him on the other side of the table. That thing tramples.
John's at 15. And everybody's coming. So there's a 3/3, a 3/2, and a 2/2 in play for John. That's not enough.
No, I mean, it's only 8 points of power, and there's 9 points of trampling power and toughness coming across the table.
He's going to need an Inspired Charge or something. He puts everything in the way. I mean, he's got to have something here, right?
I would assume John wouldn't just be
Titanic Growth.
triple chumping.
No, he is. He's going to let himself get his flyer. He's going to go to 9.
John may also have some type of instant speed
or
disenchant effect, which would make the Oakenform fall off, make the Colossal Tread monster small enough to die, but no.
I think he might have a take Venu. No, he doesn't have anything. He's just, okay, we're going to go to game 3 here. So Neil Oliver, his ragtag band of Baloth, Dreadmaws, and Sovereigns just kind of, it's kind of like almost like what you would think of as a Chaos Sealed. You know what I mean? I'm just going to play all my green black creatures. I'm going to curve. I'm going to play some removal. I've got a couple of I've got a couple of auras to make my guys a little bigger.
And Neil, the only removal he really has is that Strangling Spores that we saw, and then Plummets. So, if you got a big creature on the ground, chances are it's going to live against Neil Oliver.
So Neil is keeping. And it looks like John Stocks put Neil on the play.
That's something we've seen quite a bit of already this weekend. We're just here in round 3 now, and this is at least the 4th time we've seen somebody choose to draw in a game. This is something that I really...
Let's just double check. I'm pretty sure. I don't have confirmation, but I mean, it looked like Neil capped and then John Mulligan, but it's... I just want to make sure I'm... No, yep. No, John is on the play. So, okay. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
So there's Druid of the Cowl. So he's going to be able to start accelerating out his monsters.
Yeah, Druid of the Cowl, a card that Neil's deck would love if it had access to it.
But instead, Child of Night, 2/2 lifelinker. 2/1 lifelinker, sorry. Oh, John's stuck on 2 lands. Even with that Druid, can't do anything. And now we're going to see a Sky... Oh, Oaken Form! Wow. Neil Oliver is getting aggro here. He's like, oh, I've got a place I can sort of jump through here. I'm going to make a 5-power lifelinker. Going to hit you for 5. I'm going to gain 5.
You know, what's especially nice about this, too, is that his opponent doesn't have access to the color, which would grant him a potential removal spell for that. So there's no Luminous Bonds, nothing like that, and suddenly 10-point life swings every time Neil turns it sideways.
Well, and look at this. John just has to equip the Druid of the Cowl and attack. And this is going the wrong way. Neil Oliver also has a Skymarch Bloodletter. And he's up to 27 here, and Neil is dropped to 10. You know, John just, could have blocked with his Druid last turn, but knows that his hand is, what it costs to deploy, and really just wants to keep that Druid for the turn. So he attacked with it. And now here's a Rocks Oracle.
Which matches up beautifully against this board right now. The fact that it has the 4 power means that it could trade with that Oaken Form Child of Night.
Yeah, now he's got to decide what he wants to do about the Rocks Oracle. Does have Reclamation Sage in hand to deal with the Marauder's Axe. I think he's going to hold back the Child, just get in here for 2. You see John Stocks can't get his Rocks Oracle, to draw another card, trade 2 for 1. That can't happen fast enough for him. And Dryad Greenseeker is the play here for Neil Oliver, who is also scuffling for mana now. He's come out of the gate pretty fast, but does not have a 4th land for, I believe, 2 turns in a row here. Yeah.
So an Angel of the Dawn again here for John Stocks.
Plummets are live.
Yeah. Also, though, some big creatures here. They also become vigilant. So both those now have 4 power, meaning that John can attack, offer a trade, Child of Night if he wants to.
Yeah, Neil is going to get his Child of Night in the way. And he's going to trade with the Rocks Oracle. So he'll take some damage. He'll gain some life. It'll all come out in the wash. And then you see a Ravenous Harpy. But again, mana is eluding him. Dryad Greenseeker finds him a swamp. You see a Strangling Spores in hand. So one of a handful of removal spells, all very situational for Neil. So he's got to deploy these kind of perfectly. And here you see he's going to clear the Angel, get in with the Skymarch Bloodletter, drop John down to 7. Down to 5. Sorry.
And Sky Forces just being so important in this format. It's another thing we've been seeing a lot of is just flyers finishing off games.
So John's trying to figure out what he's going to do here. How about Knightly Valor on my Druid of the Cowl? What are the stats on that right now? It was a
5/5 vigilance.
Oh, it's 5/5 vigilance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reclamation Sage does match up reasonably well in spot.
Nice. Get another card there for Neil. I love Dryad Greenseeker.
Same. It's the type of card advantage that we deserve, you know? But we're out here all spoiled, casting our divinations. Reality, we should be out talking to trees, seeing what they have to say to us.
All right, well, you know what? Skymarch Bloodletter continues to get in. You see a Shield, Diamond Mare, and a Reclamation Sage, so Neil can play 2 spells this turn. There's the Mare. He's, I assume, going to name green. I see at least 3 green cards in hand. Oh, no. He's going to name black. He's going to play the Ravenous Harpy, and he's looking to just end this game in the air next turn.
Yeah, 3 points of power in the air right now there for Neil. John at 3.
So, yeah, Neil Oliver looking to just assemble a win. Yeah, there's the hand from John Stocks. Neil Oliver off to a 3-0 start here at Grand Prix Sacramento. Sort of a motley assemblage of, non-synergistic creatures and some pretty, it's kind of like, the house is surrounded. Just grab whatever weapons you can. His arsenal is not fully stocked. 2 plummets of strangling spores is basically what he had to work with, but he got there this round. So nice job there by Neil Oliver. Wins 2 games to 1, and he goes to 3-0.
Yeah, and Neil is somebody who loves some sealed deck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Neil, and core set sealed deck is really where we're going to see Neil kind of, shine the brightest. I think that first Vegas tournament was that.
Yeah,
that was the core set before Origins, right?
I thought it was. I thought that first one was Modern Masters.
Oh, you're right. It was Modern Masters.
Yeah.
That huge one. And then the GP that he came in second shortly after that was the core set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but great job by Neil Oliver. Checking to see if we have some more magic for you. We may. I'm not sure. We're waiting to hear word. But, that's kind of crazy. How often do you think over the course of this tournament those 2 main deck plummets are going to be dead for Neil Oliver?
Never. I mean, they're going to get stuck in his hand. Like I'm talking about in a matchup.
Yeah.
Like basically never. Okay. I've main decked Plummet even in draft decks. I don't love to because it's a card that can get awkward. Again, we saw in the first game, by the time he had targets for the Plummets, those were competing for the use of his green mana with the other green cards in his hand and even like double green spells in his deck. So you really want cards that you can play at their casting cost, not cards that like are so situational. But given his situation, his deck is soft to flyers and he has no removal. Main deck pair of plummets. All
right. We do have more magic for you, so let's head back down to the feature match area and let's check in on Scott Bese versus Venu. Venu, it looks like he is up a game here.
Venu continuing the Vegas theme.
Yeah.
Just he just got a new very nice bracelet, I heard.
Yeah, it's the third his third World Series of Poker bracelet.
Wow.
It also matches the number of Grand Prix top 8s he has. 3 Grand Prix top 8s. 2 in 2014, and this year during Rivals of Ixalan Limited, he finished 7th at Grand Prix Houston. So there you see Scott Bese showing off some of those blingy Grand Prix basics. And he is going to Essence Scatter and Omen Speaker. Just doesn't want Ben to get out to that kind of early advantage there. And but Dryad Greenseeker is the play for Scott Bese. He's like, no, you can't have card selection, but I can have card advantage. Those lands are blinding.
Yeah.
By the way.
I got some of those by playing side events yesterday.
Yeah. By the way, just nice keeping in the Vegas theme, Scott Bese, who's from Chico, California, has been playing since Origins. Talking about core sets. The last core set, maybe that's why he came to this one. But and his best finish, 11-4 at Grand Prix Las Vegas. And by the way, his kind of play style, he loves drawing cards. So not surprising to see something like a Dryad Greenseeker here for him. All right, Venu's got a Pegasus Courser down on the board. And he's just going to fly over for one. So all one power creatures here so far. Oh, another Essence Scatter for the Aerial Engineer.
Yeah, an Aerial Engineer, a premier uncommon in a deck that is playing enough artifacts. That's a card that can regularly be a 4/4 flyer for 4 mana.
How many artifacts do you want to be playing with that card in general?
I'd play it with as few as 3, and I really want at least 5 or 6.
Okay.
But once you are in like the 6 to 8 range, it becomes absurd.
So double Essence Scatter here for Scott Bese early on in the game. But nothing to develop his board. Both players just kind of going back and forth with a 1 power creature. I mean, Scott's not attacking with his.
Yeah. Scott's doing a little more than attacking. Yeah.
He's more in the market for some card advantage. Let's see, Venu in blue, black, red, and white. Is that or is that?
So Venu is a blue-white deck that's splashing black for Psychic Symbiont and splashing red for a Lightning Strike.
Okay.
Yeah. To do it, he has, some duels, some Manolith.
So Militia Bugler there, you see, activating.
Ooh, a nice hit there.
What is that?
That's a Mystic Archaeologist.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Now that's a 2-mana 2/1 that you can pay 5 mana, 3 colorless, and a pair of blue.
He's like,
to draw 2
you
cards.
like your Dryad Greenseeker? Let me show you my Arcanist the Omnipotent here.
Yeah, that's.
So Strangling Spores is taking out Pegasus Courser.
An Aven Windmage now. And Scott, it seems like this Greenseeker is just grinding its way to victory to some degree.
Yeah. Supreme Phantom is the other creature on the board for Venu. Not a ton of spirits in this set, are there?
No, they're like of varying rarities and across many colors, and I think there are 3 of them total.
Okay. Would have liked
Don't
to
quote
use
me on that.
I would have liked to use some Shutter quotes on other spirits.
Yeah. And when you get like the triple Supreme Phantom deck, they're kind of nice.
So Militia Bugler is getting blocked by the Dryad Greenseeker, and here you see Psychic Symbiont coming down. So those just bounce, but and Scott's going to activate his Dryad Greenseeker, pick up a land, and then presumably, is he going to discard that, or is he going to discard a cancel to the Symbiont?
And Symbiont, a card we've already discussed a bit, but for just 6 mana, you get a 3/3 flyer. Your opponent discards a card, and you draw a card. It's kind of like an Ancestral Recall, basically.
Yeah, he actually keeps the land in hand and discards cancel. So
that may lead us to believe that he has some of the top end that his deck has access to. Cards like Vivian's Invocation.
Yeah, it looks like he is holding a Vivian's Invocation, and there's a Colossal Dreadmaw. So let's see how this looks for Scott Bese. Venu's going to untap. He just got to draw an extra card.
Yeah, Venu, if he has counter magic, he's going to want to leave that open because Scott, once he gets to 7 mana, he not only has Vivian's Invocation, but he also has Palaka Worm.
Oh.
So a lot of dangerous things happening.
No one's ever beaten a Palaka Worm, right? That's just never happened.
I haven't really heard about it happening.
And you think that would be something people would be in the market to tell you about?
Yes.
I just beat a Palaka Worm, dude. All right, so Marauder's Axe comes down into the capable wings of a Symbiont. And get a big attack here from Venu. And, Scott's already in a pretty precarious spot here. Started the turn at 13 life. Or was that pre-updated, that life total?
Oh, no. He was at 18.
Okay.
He took 5.
So there you see Greenseeker continues to do work.
And it looks like he has not only Invocation, but also Palaka Worm in hand.
Oh, wow. And there is the Palaka Worm. So he's going to hop back up. Goes up to 20. And, oh, by the way, just does a 7/7 Trampler. To go with his 6/6 Trampler. Ben's creatures are just severely outclassed on the board.
And Ben's his only answer to a card like Palaka Worm that works, essentially, is Luminous Bonds. And he only has one copy of it.
And you see Ben like, oh boy, what do I do here? It's like, I want to attack with my, big flyer. But he's going to play the Mystic Archaeologist. By the way, that's not a tap ability.
Yeah, no, you can just do it right away. A lot of the time when both people still have cards in hand, it's a card that you want to wait until you have 7 mana to cast. That way you can cast it and activate it right away. And then you put your opponent in a situation where they either need to, try to pressure you and turn it into a race, or use their turn to deal with a 2/1 when you already drew 2 cards with it. And it's a really good way to set yourself up for victory.
So Scott Beeser's looking over the board. Ben used posture at the table, very reminiscent of his friend Justin Bonamo in the one drop there. He's just like, I'm just not, okay, I'm not giving anything away. All right, there's Vivian's Invocation. So go look through the top 7 cards of your library, find a creature, put it into play, and then fight. Wow, looks like a lot of land there. A Dryad Greenseeker. Even Wind Mage is.
You make sure that he gets his trigger off there.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! So
What?
a Salvager.
Oh, so he's gonna get the Vivian's Invocation back for next turn. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and in doing that, he's also able to kill this Archaeologist. So, gets a 2/2, kills the Archaeologist. Also puts that.
Oh, it's not even
powerful.
a fight. It just deals the damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a fight. Wow. So, but Ben gets to dig for some cards here.
Yeah, there's no fighting in this set. It's all just sucker punches, rabbit bite type cards.
Wow, and look at this. Is that just lethal? And he's gonna take out. He's gonna put 7 points of power in front of that Palaka Worm. He's gonna take 9 and some little extra trample here, I think.
Yeah, I think so. 10 total.
Yeah. Goes to 4. He did draw 2 cards this turn. Can Ben find a Cleansing Nova? That's kind of what he needs right now. Yeah.
Fortunately, not one in his sealed deck.
All right, now we get a game 3. Going to speed things up a little bit as pairings are getting close to going out.
Fountain of Renewal.
Interesting card here.
Yeah. A card that can do really disgusting things when you follow it up with Johnny's Pride Mate on the second turn of the game. Yeah.
Basically gain a life every upkeep. You can also sack it to draw a card later on for 3 mana.
Yeah, I lost in the finals of a draft to somebody who was playing more than one Fountain of Renewal in their deck, and they were playing a blue-white mill deck.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
There's an Aviation Pioneer for Ben. Gets your little 2-for-1 that you like so much, Jake. A 1/2 and a 1/1 Thopter. But back-to-back Omen Speakers here for Scott Bese. He goes Omen Speaker and then Mirror Image, making an Omen Speaker.
Snapping Drake, an old standby. That's, bread and butter of my limited strategy. Take 3/2 flyers for 4.
Oh, there's our card of the match already from way back at the start of the round. Vinemare comes down for Scott Bese, and This is a card that just gives these like blue base decks such fits. You think about everything in blue-black that you can do to deal with a Vine Mare, and you can't do any of them, including sometimes blocking.
Yeah, a lot of the time it comes down to racing in the air, chump blocking. There are some 3-power things you can use to trade.
But you want to bounce, like your green opponent plays a 4-mana, 5-power creature. You want to bounce it. You want to enchant it. You want to tap it. You can't do any of those things.
Ooh.
Interesting use. Okay.
So metamorphic alteration there.
Yeah. And he's making it into a 1/2. So it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature. It's a copy of the chosen creature. So he chooses the Aviation Pioneer, which doesn't get to trigger its come into play ability. So it's just, I'm going to turn your Snapping Drake into a 1/2. And just like significantly slow down your clock. And there's the Gearsmith Guardian. So on full on 5/5, except Essence Scatter takes that out. And Scott Bese just gets to beat in here with this 5/3 Vine Mare. Only 2 1/2s for Ben if he wants to block it.
It's kind of like an older school sealed type of strategy where when you're playing sealed deck, you play a bunch of cards like Cancel.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
And we saw Scott's playing that card as well.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think that Ben definitely knows how to play against this type of sealed strategy.
All right, well, he's going to sacrifice his Fountain and draw a card. He's looking for answers here. So what's his big payoff again for like his splashes?
He has a Lightning Strike, Psychic Symbiont, and that's it.
Okay.
Again, he was not given the most powerful sealed deck one has ever seen.
Yeah. So another Essence Scatter, by the way, from Scott Bese. And it looks like he just regrew an Essence Scatter. So he likes his position here. He's going to be able to back up his Vine Mare with a second Essence Scatter. And that just starts getting in with everybody. He's like, you got a 1/1 and 2 1/2s here. What are you going to do?
It's a bunch of 1-power creatures. Scott's probably...
Ben's down to 11. Do you just triple block the Vine Mare and try to kill that thing?
I think so.
That's what he's going to do. He's got 4 points getting through unblocked. That'll drop Ben to 7. But this is all assuming Scott has no trick. Oh, wait, there's a Strangling Spores. Takes down the thing. Okay. Ben's at 9. Oh, but there's Palaka Worm.
Oh, my goodness.
Manolith for Venu. Attacks for 9. Perfect. Xaxes for Scott Bese. Oh, and shows him Divination and Colossal Dreadmaw still in hand.
Yeah.
So, wow. Ben Pisa takes down Venu. Venu of 3 World Series of Poker bracelets and 3 Grand Prix top 8s. First loss here on the day. We've got more Magic coming up. Round 4 will be turning around in just a little bit. We've got a couple messages, and then we'll be right back with TJ Rogers and Paul Rietzel.